Hey friends, today I'd like to talk to you about reading Harry Potter books in different languages. So far, I've read all 7 Harry Potter novels in 3 languages. First in Russian, then in English, and now in Polish. And I want to share with you my thoughts, my experience, some interesting translation moments that I found while reading each version. And also, I try to explain why on earth I decided to read the same Harry Potter books again and again in several languages. And let's start with the last question. As you all probably already know, I'm learning languages mainly by reading books. And to me, it's always much easier to start reading a book that I already know and which I've already read in my native language, Russian. Actually, I have several such books for getting started on reading in foreign languages, but the Harry Potter series have turned out to be the best choice for me personally, because first of all, I know the plot. Then there are 7 books in the series, and it's always much easier to get used to the author's writing style when there are a lot of books rather than a single short novel. And most importantly, the word choice in the Harry Potter books is modern. The books were written about 20 years ago, and there is lots of dialogue and many useful phrases and slang words that we can use in our everyday conversations, our everyday lives. But the main reason I read Harry Potter books in different languages is that they actually teach me how to read in foreign languages. I noticed that after I finished reading all 7 Harry Potter books in a particular foreign language, then I could read almost everything I wanted in that language. So far, these books have taught me to read first in English, then in Polish, and I'm really looking forward to see if this technique, learning languages by reading Harry Potter books, if it works for the other foreign languages I'd like to learn. Spanish, Ukrainian, Armenian, French, maybe more. And the next question is, how long did it take me to read all 7 books in each language, Russian, English, and Polish? Actually, reading Harry Potter in Russian didn't take me that long, because Russian is my native language, and on average I was reading 1 book a week, or sometimes even more. So it took me less than 2 months to read the whole series, but reading them all in English was entirely different. As a whole, it took me 3 years and 9 months to read all 7 Harry Potter books in English. Of course, I didn't read the books every single day without any interruption during these years. Also, that was the period when I was doing my PhD, and it absorbed me almost completely. So sometimes when I had time, I read every evening. Other times I took quite long breaks from reading. So each book took me a different length of time to read in English. For example, the 6th book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, took me less than 2 months. But the 5th book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, took me more than a year to read. But finally, I did it, and the next language I read all Harry Potter books was Polish. And as a whole, it took me 2 years and 2 months to read the Polish version, a little bit faster than in English. The first book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or in Polish it's Harry Potter i Kamień Filozoficzny. That book was the hardest for me, and I read it over a year and a month, if I remember it right. Then the second book took me only 2.5 months. And the third book, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I completed reading in just 40 days, or 40 evenings to be exact. And this was my personal record, maybe because it was my favorite book in the series, and still is. Then each of the following books I read in 2 months on average, and I really liked reading every single page of them in Polish. And now I'd like to tell you a few words about how I read the Harry Potter books in foreign languages. First of all, I translated all the unknown words in the dictionary, and I still read the same way, looking up all new words in my dictionary, because I like to understand the story 100%. Maybe I'm wrong, and probably that's why it took me such a long time to read all these books. But to me, it doesn't matter. I was completely absorbed, and I really enjoyed that process of reading and learning foreign languages at the same time. And what could be better than doing something you really enjoy? Also, while reading Harry Potter books, I was listening to the same audiobooks in the same language, and I think that helped me a lot to get used to the spoken language, to train my ear, and then to start to understand the language better. And in addition, the first 4 books in the Polish version I read only aloud. Yeah, it took me a long time, but it was fun and interesting, and I believe that it helped me with my Polish pronunciation, at least a little. I also tried to use the shadowing technique while reading, but for some reason this method didn't work for me with the Harry Potter books. Maybe because the narrators spoke too fast for me, for my level. I don't know, but I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to use that method and to train my pronunciation more along with reading those books. Now let's talk about some questions that I'm always asked about reading Harry Potter in different languages. And the first question is, what language was the most difficult for me to read Harry Potter in? Of course, it's English. I remember quite well how I returned home from my work in the evenings and sat down at a table with the book and the dictionary to translate, or better to say, to decipher. Actually, in the beginning, it was not reading at all, because I had to look up every second or third word in the dictionary. So at first it was really deciphering, and only after 100 pages or so did I actually start to read and enjoy the book. Reading in Polish was relatively easy because I'm a native Russian speaker, and the Polish language is much more familiar for me than English. So I got used to reading it relatively faster. The next question is, in which language did I like reading Harry Potter books the most? Of course, that's English again, the original language. You know, there is something magical about J.K. Rowling books. They are so gripping that sometimes you just seem to forget that you are reading them in English, your foreign language. And the more I got used to reading in English, the more I started to notice how well written those books were. And I began to feel the melody of the English language. And that's really an amazing feeling when, along with the English literature, you have also started to love the English language itself. In second place is definitely the Polish version. I have always said and will repeat that a lot depends on the skill of the translator. All 7 Harry Potter books were translated from English to Polish by one single translator. Unfortunately, he died a few years ago. His name was Andrzej Polkowski, and I'd say his translation was just brilliant. He was able to preserve and transmit that unique and magical atmosphere that J.K. Rowling created, and I really loved his work. As for Russian, I didn't like the Russian version that much. I'm sorry. The next question I'm always asked: what did I remember most in each language version? You know, I always noticed the character names, the names of this or that magical animal, creature, and what they were called in different languages. And my friends are also always interested about that. So yeah, it's definitely the names. Most often I'm asked about Lord Voldemort, of course. In Polish, his name sounds almost the same, Lord Voldemort. But in Russian, it's Lord Volandemort, a little bit different. I always liked how the names of the house elves changed in each language version of this saga. In English, they are Dobby, Creature, and Winky. In Polish, they are Zgredek, Stworek, and Maruszka. And in Russian, they are Dobby, Kikimer, и Winky. What else? Oh, Crookshanks, Hermione Granger's pet cat. His name in Polish is Krzywołap, and in Russian it's Żywaglot. And I really don't know why. Also, I liked what the Polyjuice potion was called in different languages, in different book versions. In Polish, it was elixir wielosokowy, and in Russian it was оборотное зелье. Interesting, isn't it? The next question is in what language would I like to reread the Harry Potter series someday? Definitely in English, without any doubt. I read these books in English more than 10 years ago, and of course I forgot a lot, and I'd like to reread them in the original language because I really love J.K. Rowling's writing style and the whole Harry Potter story in general. And the last question is, in what language am I going to read the Harry Potter series next? I think in Spanish. Actually, I've already started reading the Harry Potter books in Spanish a few years ago. I read the first 2 books, and I started reading the third book, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. But then I started learning to read in Polish, and the Polish language has captured me so entirely that I just cannot think of any other language. Now I would definitely like to get back to the Spanish version again and to finish reading the 5 remaining books in Spanish. So that was my experience reading Harry Potter books in different languages. So far, I've read all 7 books, first in Russian, my native language, then in English, and now in Polish, and I really enjoyed these books a lot. Now I'm looking forward to reading them in Spanish. I believe that this method of learning languages by reading Harry Potter books really helps me a lot to learn to read and to increase my vocabulary. And I definitely want to continue using it, at first with my Spanish and then maybe with the other languages I'd like to learn in the future. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, guys. What do you think about reading the same book in different languages? Do you find it boring or do you find it interesting? And maybe you, like me, also read Harry Potter books in your target languages. Please write in the comments in which language do you like reading Harry Potter books the most. I would really love to hear about your experience and what do you think about all of this in general. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading! Bye!